Good morning, everyone. My name is Tammy Sadler-Jones. I'm the city administrator, and I'd like to call to order the License and Variance Board meeting for Wednesday, November the 8th, 2017 at 10 o'clock a.m. Board members present to my left is Roy Akery, the fire chief, and to his left is Scott Stokes, the director of public works. Terry Graham is our city clerk, and she will be taking the official meeting minutes. First item is a public hearing. Variance request V17053, allow increase in fence height in a front yard acres, land lot 416-796 Timberland Street. Ryan and Tessa Daly is the applicant. Good morning. And for the record, can you please state your name?
My wife, Tessa.
Tessa Daly.
Okay, all right. And can you tell us about your variance request, please?
Of course. So, first, I want to start out by thanking you for letting us come up here today. We've been in the area for about 3 years and moved to Cheney Woods in September. So we found a house we love and a lot we love. And with that, we've got the memorandum, which I believe that you have as well. And there's some significant emissions that we see. We appreciate the research done, the analysis done, but we see some significant emissions in here that we'd like to make sure that you're aware of. First off, when you purchase a house on a corner lot, what we've come to find is that any side of the house that's facing the street is the front of the front yard. So as you can see, that is the side of our house. The only piece, and you can look at figure 2 as well in the memorandum, the only piece that's front for Timberland Street is our mailbox.
And as you can see by that figure as well, a lot of the usable yard space, pretty much all of the usable yard space is on that side yard. And that is, mostly the area that we have open. We're in the corner, so the back is small, the other side is small, so most of the usable yard space is on that side yard. So that's one of the main reasons that we wanted to have the variance hearing, because that is a lot of the usable lot space, and why we fell in love with the house and the lot, and kind of why we wanted to purchase it and have our family there.
Yeah. In the memorandum as well, the reason why I bring that up is because front yard and frontage on both roads is used very generously throughout the memorandum, when really it's the side and backyard, which is what we're trying to enclose.
Yeah, the yard or the fence will not encroach on the front yard at all, will not go in front of the house, just go straight in line with the house and then fence in that side yard. So we just wanted to make sure that was clear.
The reason why we are looking to move forward with the 6-foot fence is this was taken, it's a picture of a fox. You can bring it up.
Yeah. That was taken yesterday in our yard, and we've seen many times various different wildlife in our yard, very close to our yard. So that's another reason that we wanted to request the fence.
And the reason we need as much lot line as possible is because we have the dog. This is a very athletic dog that needs exercise, needs to run around, and we want to give her as much land as possible.
And again, when we were looking at houses and really trying to find the right one for us, this one was the one that we loved because of the lot and because of the yard space that it had. So that's a big part of what we were looking for in our house hunt, and a big part of what we really want in a house.
In paragraph 3 in the analysis, you'll see community development has surveyed the neighborhood and is unable to find similar fence setback reductions on corner lots. Here you'll see a couple blocks over. This is a 6-foot fence.
Limits, yeah, on a corner lot, so that's a couple blocks down.
And then I'll give them to you in just a second. And then as far as in these memorandum as well, on the second page, top paragraph, it mentions reasonable use of the property. As you'll see in figure 1, the backyard has a large shed and garden in the property as well. So it's reasonable use for our dog to have land to run around in. It's all relative, I guess, to what we're looking for, and the reason why we purchased the house in general was for that side yard and the lot to use.
And another thing to mention too, we, have come to love our neighborhood. We have great neighbors. We're really, really lucky. That's why we wanted to make sure we went around and got all the signatures from all of our neighbors, versus mailing them or anything like that, because we've come to become friends with everyone, and we want to make sure that they were okay with it, especially our two adjoining neighbors. So both of those neighbors we had really in-depth conversations with. Mr. Tarver Shirley, who is behind our house on Timberland Street. We had a long conversation with him and his two sons that were there, so that they understood exactly where the fence was going to go. Tarver even got out, his plot lines and looked exactly where the lines were. And actually, it's inside of where we want to do the fence. So he was even letting us go further than we want to. So just want to make sure y'all know we really talked it over with everyone that was on the signature list, and all of our other neighbors that we've again come to become friends with. So we want to make this a good thing for the neighborhood. It's going to be a stained fence, a decorative dog ear. We want to make it an addition to the house, definitely not something that's going to take away or impede anyone else's use of the neighborhood.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is make an eyesore in the neighborhood, and we feel that that's the reason why we want the variance, is because we don't want a 4-foot chain link fence in our yard. We'd like to have a nice 6-foot fence that's makes sense and doesn't impede on any property around.
And it is to note that our dog can jump over 4 feet fences. So we've learned that. That's kind of why we're definitely looking for the 6-foot fence. We learned that. So we just want to make sure that y'all are aware of kind of the reasons that we asked for it, and that we want to make it a good addition to the neighborhood. I think that's all the info we had.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions for the applicants? Well, you guys, go ahead. Okay. Well, you guys can have a seat on the front row, and then we'll have Joey Stobbs from Community Development make comments as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Joey Stobbs, Planner 2 with Community Development. The variance request is at 796 Timberland Street to allow an increase in fence height in our front yard from 4 feet to 6 feet. Just clarification, the code defines any side of a property that has road frontage to be a front yard, meaning it is subject to front yard setbacks. So even if it is a side of a house, it can be a front yard defined by the code, and that's what terminology we're using here. Also, the code doesn't prohibit fences on sides that are front yards. It just has a setback off the road. And this one is 23 feet back from the property line, is where a 6-foot fence can be installed. Otherwise, it has to be 4 feet in height, or no more than 4 feet in height. So when we analyze these requests, we're usually looking at, is there any precedent in this neighborhood for similar fences, similar 6-foot fences? We have not granted any variances in Cheney Woods, at least, for 6-foot fences. Additionally, a lot of the corner lots in Cheney Woods are catty corner on the lot. They're not parallel to any roadside. So it puts the adjoining properties in a peculiar position, because if this fence was allowed all the way to Timberland, it would be in the front yard of that adjacent property on Timberland. If it was according to the 23-foot setback, then it would be right about in line with the front corner of that adjacent house, to where it's not affecting that property anyway. So those are the factors we looked at and why we recommended denial, just for the impact it might have on the adjacent property. There was no similar fences that have variances granted on them. And a lot of the corner lots in Cheney Woods are catty corner. So it could set a negative precedent, I guess, if it was granted. But I mean, we try to look at all of these on a standalone basis. But this one in particular, a lot of feedback from the community against this fence. Although staff looks at these independently, and we just came to the same conclusion that it would have a negative impact on the adjacent properties.
So, Joey, I understand how somebody's side yard can actually, by the letter of the ordinance, be considered a front yard, being fronted by two streets, corner lot. We've seen that a lot. So just so I understand clearly, the ordinance would allow a 6-foot-high fence like they want to build. However, they would have to come back 23 feet
Yes, sir.
off of the road setback or off of the
Off
property
of the
line?
road, the Timberland property line.
Okay, so they'd have to lose 23 feet in order to comply with that.
Right. The property line is the closest they can put a fence, with a variance or not.
Right.
And by code, it's a 23-foot setback for the 6-foot fence. So it's not a 6-foot fence along the road. Otherwise, it'd have to be a 4-foot fence.
Okay.
The one argument that the applicant made with respect to other houses and the photograph, do you remember what that one was about? And that looked like the one at Bank Street in Eastfield. What was the, I don't know, you or your staff that's here today, do you know what the circumstances was or is with that fence?
I don't know which fence it was.
What's the photograph that they have? It was at
What's the address for the fence that you showed us?
It is what you mentioned. Thanks for-
And again, we don't, we know
That's-
everyone that may not go through this variance process, so
We're
we're
trying
not
to do what's right, and
We're trying to do it right, but also show that, there are non-eyesore side yards that are fenced.
It's hard to tell where that fence is in relation to the property line.
that's off Eastfield.
But I mean, how much distance that is.
It's less than 36 feet.
Setback's 23 feet.
23 feet from the lot line, which comes in 12 feet from the curb.
So it's total of 36
So
feet,
it's
which in
total
our
of
house
36
would be
feet.
touching
From the
our
curb,
house.
but not from the right of way as well.
Any other questions for the staff? I think you wanted to make an additional comment.
That was, I just wanted to clarify as far as.
Just speaking to the mic.
Sorry. I just wanted to clarify as far as the lot line and to your question. The lot line starts 12.1 feet from the curb, and then there's an extra 23.1 feet from the lot line. So that's a total of 36 feet that we're missing out on that side yard. I
Which
just
is,
wanted to
in
make that
essence,
clear.
our entire side yard. So we've spent a lot of time measuring this out. We went back and forth with Joey a lot on a lot of different options, laying it all out in the yard, and that is, in essence, almost touching the side of our house. So it's forfeiting the entire side yard. So that's really why we're here. So just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right, seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please, if there are no other questions.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a comment first, even with respect to staff recommendation. I understand Given that, primarily for me, given that you have confirmed with your immediate neighbor, so staff, has to measure these things in a unilateral way, independent of each other. And we've seen a lot of these requests, come through here. There's always confusion on, it's not really my front yard, it's the side yard. I get it, but because, you have to understand because it's, the two public streets. Staff, and I think rightfully so, concluded that there's a reasonable argument that you could create a hardship specifically for your neighbor behind you. However, seeing that you have taken the time and effort to build that relationship, and the fact that that person is not here today to speak in opposition, I feel comfortable with making the recommendation that we approve variance request V170-053 to allow increase in fence height in front yard from 4 feet to 6 feet, 0.32 acre land lot 416 located 796 Timberland Street for Ryan and Tessa Daly.
Second motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V17053. All in favor, please vote. Right. It passes 2-1. Next item is a public 054, allow commercial property, 4.95 acres, land lot 345, 2552 South Cobb Drive, SunTrust is the applicant. Is the representatives here?
Good morning. My name is Stephen Taylor. I'm senior manager with Cushman and Wakefield.
It's a pretty strong microphone.
I see.
Yeah.
My name is Andrew Gonzalez. I'm with the engineering company, Infinity Engineering Group.
Please tell us about your variance request, please. And you're here representing SunTrust Bank?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So we are proposing a standalone drive-up ATM in front of a shopping center. We would be eliminating some parking spaces and having to place them in other places around the parking lot currently where there is room for them to be placed. It's a non-conforming number of parking spaces currently. However, we are going to be replacing just as many parking spaces that we are going to be removing with the ATM in other locations, so it will be maintaining the same nonconformance. The bank does not currently have a primary structure at that location. That was one of the comments that the board had made. And again, this is a ATM in front of the building. Another comment they had made was that it is supposed to be in the rear of the property. The issue that we have with the rear of the property is there's not enough room back there for circulation to be provided. There's no lighting provided. It's in the rear of a building, not a whole lot of room, not very safe for people to be driving down, accessing an ATM with money involved. And safety is the biggest reason why we're adamant about not placing something back there, as opposed to the front of the shopping center, well lit, right next to the road, visible to people driving by in case something's happening. Sorry. I believe the third option was that the owner of the ATM currently doesn't have any of the units in the shopping center currently owned. That was the third comment they had made. However, looking at the nearby area, we had seen a Wells Fargo drive-up ATM exactly like what we are proposing in a similar shopping center with an adjacent McDonald's next to it.
And where was that located?
It is at
South Cobb Drive and Concord Road.
3260 South Cobb. It's
He's
where the
talking about in
Kroger.
front of the McDonald's.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know they had made the comment that no precedents had been made on variances of this sort. However, that ATM seems to have every single non-conforming use applicable to them as what we are proposing right now. So we're trying to get some kind of explanation on what they did to get theirs approved that we are now getting denied on.
Good morning. Again, Stephen Taylor. I helped SunTrust. I worked on behalf of SunTrust to negotiate the ATM lease with Halpern Enterprises, which is the owner of the property, South Cobb Plaza Shopping Center. And as we noted, there have been other accessory structures approved within the city of Smyrna. There's the Wells Fargo at South Cobb Drive and Concord Road. There was actually previously a kiosk at this same property before Glendale Place was extended to pass through the property. There was a kiosk that served as once formerly an emissions testing operation, and then most recently a restaurant or at least a food provider before it was demolished for that right of way. Just to discuss in general the purpose of the ATM units, SunTrust Bank has, it's a recognizable brand here in Atlanta, of course. They have a location already a little bit further south on South Cobb Drive. The goal for these ATMs, and we've done them across the Atlanta metro area, is to efficiently and effectively serve their customers and the constituency of the community in promoting financial health and well-being. They have recognized the city of Smyrna as an area of growth that they would like to sufficiently serve for the foreseeable future. And having the permanent location a little bit further south on South Cobb Drive, they wanted to make sure that they also had a presence to serve the customer base a little bit further north in the city. These structures are typically difficult, more lease related, to get established, just because there are typically items within other tenants' leases that may make these items challenging. The owner has been able to get satisfactory results as far as vetting this with other tenants, and we were able to move forward with getting a lease memorialized for this structure. So the owner is supportive of it, and no other tenants have objected. So we would ask that based on other similar structures that have been approved within the city, and for the benefits that they provide to the citizens of the city of Smyrna, we ask that you guys reconsider the variance request.
Any questions for the applicant?
I just had one, just really more out of curiosity. In this situation, in what you do, you're requesting to do this, the city staff has recommended denial. Is there ever a contemplation to have this same type of asset, instead of it being a drive-up, be it having it affixed to the front of the building? Is that an option type thing that you guys would consider?
We talked to Halpern about that. Two things came up. One, they don't have the space to allow us a walk up. Two, the goal is to provide efficiency of customers being able to service the ATM without getting out of their car, without having to run across traffic. They usually provide for very easy flow and access for customers to be able to quickly come in, make withdrawals, make deposits, and quickly drive out and continue on their way. So that is the goal, and those are really the two reasons why we elected to go with this option as opposed to putting in an ATM unit through the front of a store.
Okay, thank you.
Has there been any consideration, why did you choose that particular location in the parking lot area, not another further north, for instance?
What we have to do is we have to look at traffic flows. We have to analyze what traffic patterns are, what parking patterns are with other tenants, and typically we like to look at areas of the property, areas of the parking field that are less utilized, that may be considered what we call dead parking, which is parking that usually for, most of the time is empty and no one, elects to park there because it may be far away from most of your, the retailers that are heavier traffic or, just for whatever reason, those spaces aren't utilized. And so we looked at that. We also looked to, we look for spaces within the property, within the parking field, that allow for easy access, that allow for easy visibility. As a customer, again, the goal is to get them in, to be able to complete whatever their financial objective is for the day and get them out quickly, safely, efficiently. And so we look for areas that customers can easily identify, where customers feel safe accessing, and we identified that, pretty much this area seemed to check most, if not all, the boxes for both the landlord and for the tenant.
All right, it looked like you mentioned something about the parking places, and it looks like apparently there's 8 or 9 spaces that that will be affected, and you indicated you're gonna provide those somewhere else on the property. Did you submit a plan that showed that?
We have not. I'd gone to.
Speaking to the mic, please.
We had not submitted a plan. We had made the comment to the staff that it was possible, but we were going to go through this variance hearing first to see if it was going to go forward or not. But I made a trip to the site, had done measurements, and had determined locations where we were going to be able to do this.
Where was that location?
There was going to be a few of them. The lot has a jagged corner over by I believe it was a Mexican restaurant. We're going to put several there, and then we were able to fit 3 over where the new street was placed. There's a lot of green space over there that we were going to convert to parking spaces. And if that was not going to meet the 8 or 9, then we're going to place employee parking in the back of the building. It's currently being used for loading of small vans, so we're just going to designate places for them.
And really quickly, the parking ratio, as reflected in the recommendation, is a little off. I think it was showing that the shopping center as a whole is approximately 50,000 square feet. The landlord actually has the property shown as 37,949 square feet. So while we believe parking is still non-conforming, the ratio is a lot closer to City of Smyrna's requirements, and it's actually a lot closer to what we would consider a market parking ratio than what is reflected herein.
Also, the location of the kiosk looks like it's within the 50-foot front yard setback.
I believe the canopy will encroach into that. The structure itself should not.
Wow. Canopy's not part of the structure. So you got 2 structures going on, a canopy and a kiosk.
Correct.
You guys can take a seat on the front row, please, and we'll have Joey Stobbs with Community Development make comments.
Good morning. Applicant is requesting a variance at 2552 South Cobb to allow a freestanding ATM in the front of a shopping center. According to the site plan that was submitted with the application, there's roughly 162 existing parking spaces, that after this ATM, there would be 154. And code requires 189 spaces based on the 37,000 square feet. So this is an older shopping center. It might have been built prior to a lot of our parking regulations and all that. But at least according to today's standards, this parking lot is non-conforming as it doesn't meet the minimum parking spaces. And with this addition, it would lose 8 more spaces, at least according to the site plan that we have to review. And our analysis, there's not a bank at this shopping center, so it's not, to us, it's not really an accessory structure. It's really a separate primary structure in the parking lot because it serves its own function. So if we look at it from that respect, it should have its own parking requirements and its own setbacks, whatnot, as opposed to the McDonald's shopping center with the ATM there, which that was part of a whole redevelopment proposal where all of these different things were contemplated under one plan. And this proposal is just an after-the-fact addition of an ATM in an existing parking lot that's non-conforming. So it just has a lot of different variables that make us uncomfortable to recommend approval on it. Additionally, we've denied similar some ATMs and some standalone ice machine. We've denied that request before, and we have not approved any variance request for these, for this type of variance, for a commercial accessory use in a front yard. So that's why our recommendation was denial.
Any questions? Any questions for the staff?
So just for clarification, Joey, you referenced the site plan or proposed site plan submitted, and the fact that the shopping center is older, it's already existing non-conforming. Just so I understand, in part of what the applicant has proposed, there has been no official plan of where they would at least make up those 8 or 9 that they would lose potentially by doing this. I mean, we've heard statements, and I appreciate that, but we don't have anything officially to say, here's 3 will be here, and 4 will be here, and 2 will be here.
The statement's been made, and then I think it's also in the application itself that says it's possible to add more spaces, but we don't have any document that shows them proposing it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at realistically, we got it, parking spaces are going away. I still say that the existing or the structure is going to be within a front yard setback, which is not a good thing. But there again, I guess the biggest point is we've got a existing non-conforming shopping center, non-conforming use, and the proposal is to add to the existing non-conforming use.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just wanted to make one clarification on the Wells Fargo ATM with the McDonald's. That was part of a rezoning request with the McDonald's for the development of that site. So we reviewed the McDonald's, they proposed the ATM. It has its own drive aisle and everything else, but that went through planning and zoning and went through mayor and council approval for site plan specific zoning at that point. So it went through all the proper channels and everything else. There wasn't any variance process associated with that request.
Any other questions for the staff? This is a public hearing. If anyone else would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, you want to please state your name, please.
Brandon Elam, SunTrust Bank.
Okay.
I would just like to position that the ATM structure is an attractive structure where we propose to locate it is to the side of the shopping center and wouldn't unnecessarily interrupt the view corridor, et cetera. And I think we've been discussing the possibility of submitting a plan showing where those parking spaces could be replaced. As the shopping center is currently used, parking is underutilized. We do realize that it doesn't meet current code, but it is in a dead area of the parking lot and should have nominal, if any, impact to the parking available at that center.
I know the comment was made that since this was going to be an additional use, that additional parking would be needed. And I mean, we can look into that as well and seeing how much parking that this structure would need to generate and see if we can add that parking as well to this existing parking lot. It might still be non-conforming, but we can make up the parking that we will be removing and then adding parking for however much would be required for this structure to be installed.
At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to deny variance request V17-054 allow accessory structure in the front yard of a commercial property, 4.95 acres, land lot 345, 2552 South Cobb Drive.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second that we deny variance request V17054. All in favor, please vote. All right, the motion to deny is unanimous. You do have an opportunity to the mayor and council. You can get with our city clerk, Terry Graham, and if you are interested in doing that, she can set a agenda date for you to be on the mayor and council agenda. And you have 10 days, business days to do that. Excuse me. Okay. You're welcome. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V17055, allow second kitchen in existing single-family dwelling unit, 0.28 acres, land lot 484, 1170 Oakview Drive. Barbara Squirrels is the applicant? Squires, pardon me, Squires.
Here, I won't take much of it. My mom, who is right here, has moved in with me, and we are building an addition in the back of the house so that she can have the same amenities that she had in her house in California. She was living independently up until June. She had a fall and cracked her skull open. And so her doctors told her that she needed to decide whether she wanted to have someone come in and basically monitor her or whether she wanted to come back to Georgia and live with me. So that's what she chose, thank goodness. My mom and I have a very active life. We go places, we do things, we like to cook. So one of the things that would make her healthy and happy is to have a kitchenette. It's not really a full kitchen. It's, smaller appliances and whatnot. And so that would definitely make her happy. I understand that there's a precedent for that in several other neighborhoods, and I would appreciate your approval. Questions?
So your mother will still be able to communicate, not verbally, but communicate physically between her living space and the rest of the house?
Yes, indeed. I'm installing a lot of Wi-Fi security monitors, including cameras, so that I can keep an eye on her. I didn't say that, Mom. Yeah, we'll have full security monitoring.
Any other questions? All right.
Just a silly comment, Madam
Okay.
Chair. Just welcome from California. Welcome to Smyrna. Glad you're here.
It's been quite an adjustment for her. She used to live in Decatur, and she is 91. And as I say, she's very active. On her 85th birthday, we went skydiving.
Wow.
So I expect her to live a much longer, fuller life as we go forward here.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You can have a seat on the front row, please. And Joey Stobbs from Community Development will make comments.
Applicant is requesting a variance at 1170 Oakview Drive to allow a second kitchen and an existing dwelling unit. It's a one-story, single-family residence that's approximately 1,400 square feet. They're building an addition currently that will make it about 2,100 square feet. And part of that will include a kitchenette, as the applicant has explained. Community Development has recommended approval based on that this kitchenette will still be part of the main dwelling unit. She's not adding she's not building a duplex, or she's not building an accessory dwelling unit with a separate primary entrance or exit. So this is all contained within the footprint of the main house. And other variances similar to this have been approved previously when it's all part of the main dwelling unit. So we recommended approval with just 3 conditions. 1, that the addition is to be utilized by family members only. 2, the applicant shall not lease, rent, or sublet any space in their home. 3, these conditions shall run in perpetuity with the property, and as such are also applicable to any future owner. And again, the intention of that is just, we don't want to make a single-family house into a duplex, or anywhere down the line where a future property owner could lease the space out as a duplex. That's it.
Any questions for the staff? And Ms. Squires, for the record, do you accept the 3 conditions as stated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. This is a public hearing. If anyone else would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve variance request V17-055 to allow second kitchen in existing single-family dwelling unit, 0.28 acre land lot 484 located at 1170 Oakview Drive for Ms. Barbara Squires, with the 3 conditions as read into the.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V17055. All in favor, please vote. All right. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is approval of the October 25th, 2017 License and Variance Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the October 25th, 2017 License and Variance Board minutes.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve the meeting minutes from October 25th, 2017. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to declare this meeting adjourned at 10:43 a.m. Thank you.